All right, well, let me welcome everyone to this 1 hour free webinar hosted by Prevention Plus Wellness, LLC, located here in beautiful Jackson, I should say St. Augustine, Florida. We lived in Jacksonville for 30 years. It's hard to break that habit. St. Augustine, Florida, just down the road from Jacksonville, about 45 minutes. Beautiful, beautiful St. Augustine, Florida. My name is Dr. Chudley Wirch, and I'm president and founder here at Prevention Plus Wellness. Today's session, as you can see, is titled One Session, Youth Substance Use Prevention Plus Wellness Programs, otherwise known as Prevention Plus Wellness Core Knowledge. So this will be the latest version of the Core Knowledge, which is part of the training that we include for Prevention Plus Wellness program implementers and trainers. So this is the latest version. Some of this, it's been updated with the latest content. Some of it may overlap with previous webinars that we hold and trainings, but some of it is also new and updated. So if you see a little repeat in some of this, no problem, just hang with us. And at the end of today, we'll be sending you a certificate for a 1 hour CEU for spending time with us, as well as a PDF of the slides and a link to this recorded session. So this will last 1 hour, and we're going to move along quickly because we have that just 1 hour time period. So if we have time, we'll take some questions from you as at the end of today's session. If you have any questions, type them in the chat or the Q&A space. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the objectives. There's 4 of them today. Describe substance use PPW, that's Prevention Plus Wellness, screening and brief interventions. Their components will give you an overview of all of our programs that we have up to this moment in time. Secondly, we're going to identify the unique characteristics of Prevention Plus Wellness programs, which allow them to be broadly prevent substance use while improving the mental and physical health of youth and young adults. Thirdly, review research and theory which supports brief interventions that integrate the prevention of substance use with the promotion of wellness. And lastly, to list the new adaptations to PPW programs, which increase their flexibility as well as their practicality for use both in person and online. And we will need to have that for at least for a while until we get COVID under a little bit better control. So let's take a look at the programs and their components. I think our number one program is the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program, implemented in all 50 states and abroad. We got 3 versions: high school, middle school, elementary school. And so let's take a look at the content or sort of an overview of the components. This is an evidence-based program. That is the Sport Alcohol Drug Prevention Plus Wellness program. It's been shown to prevent alcohol, cigarette use, and cannabis use and increase physical activity among non-using and substance-using youth. It targets largely alcohol, although it does address other substances briefly. And it does also target the promotion of physical activity and sports, healthy breakfast and nutrition, sleep, and stress control. It is a single session screening and brief intervention, less than 50 minutes to implement it. It comes with slides. You implement it with slides, and you have a script in your physical program manual. You can implement it in a very flexible format, either individually to youth or in groups of youth. It comes with optional parent materials, particularly a letter and 4 weekly flyers that can be mailed out, handed out, sent, emailed, posted on your website to get parents involved and provide that follow-up positive image communication with youth from the parent perspective in the home setting. You get a physical manual, you get a digital download link, which has all of your reproducible materials, so you don't have to make any of the purchases beyond your one purchase. You can make copies of all of your materials you need to provide your program to countless youth. We also have protocols now to implement your sport as well as all of our PPW programs online in different versions, different formats, online formats. That's the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness program. Our parallel program to sport is called In Shape Prevention Plus Wellness. The main difference with In Shape is this is for young adults, college students, in community settings, U.S. military, whatever, doesn't matter. Again, alcohol drug focus. Actually, the focus is on alcohol tobacco use. Evidence-based program. This program has been shown to prevent alcohol, cannabis, including heavy alcohol use and heavy cannabis use, drinking and driving, increasing physical activity, sleep, and health-related quality of life measures among young adults. It does target, as I said, alcohol, tobacco. Again, promoting different types of physical activity, moderate and vigorous, as well as nutrition, sleep, stress control. Single session, a little bit longer, a little bit more content, but still under an hour, implemented with slides. You get a physical manual, you get a digital download, make copies of all your reproducible materials, online protocols if you need to provide it online, and scripts to provide it to young adults individually or in a group. That's In Shape. So we got sport, we got In Shape, and now we've got modifications of those two programs. We'll start with vaping prevention plus wellness. This vaping PPW addresses e-cigarette use. We got a high school, middle school, elementary school version. And it's an adaptation of the sport program. It's a modification of the sport program. It hasn't been evaluated, but keep this in mind. It is again, a modification of an evidence-based program, and it uses the evidence-based practices, screening, and brief intervention model. Whereas sport and In Shape target alcohol largely, vaping PPW targets e-cigarette use prevention. But same focus on as sport by promoting physical activity and sports, healthy breakfast and nutrition, sleep and stress control. Again, like most of our programs, single session, evidence-based screening and brief intervention practice implemented with slides. You get a physical manual, you get a digital download so you can make copies of all your materials, implemented to countless youth. And you got protocols to implement it online to youth individually or in a group or in a combined format, whatever you need, you'll be able to implement your program. We also have the marijuana PPW program, high school, middle school, elementary school versions of this program. It is an adaptation like vaping PPW. Marijuana PPW is an adaptation of the evidence-based sport program, but obviously the focus is on cannabis use. Other than that, it's all the same. Single session, screening, brief intervention, slides, manual, digital downloads, online protocols to implement it. You can implement it to youth individually or in a group. Opioid prevention plus wellness is actually an adaptation of our In Shape PPW program. A little bit more emphasis on stress control, which we believe literature shows very important to preventing opioid use. The three versions we have of the opioid PPW program is adolescent version, that's in the far left, and then we've got a version for high-risk young women and high-risk young men. So those are the three versions we have. Again, targets opioid misuse, and again, promoting all of those healthy behaviors, different types of physical activity, sleep, stress control, nutrition, single session, screening, and brief intervention. That's the opioid PPW program. Now, what are some of the other programs we have? We've got a Sport 2 alcohol drug prevention plus wellness program. Adaptation, as you might imagine, of the sport program. But Sport 2 is unique in that it is our only multi-session program. Now, you could easily expand any of our single session programs, and we discussed that in our tour online program implementer training. But some organizations like to implement sport, and then they like to implement the Sport 2. And Sport 2 has 6 sessions, 6 lessons. So whereas all of our other programs combine, integrate all these other behaviors, substance use behaviors with wellness promoting behaviors in one session, Sport 2 separates them out or dissects them. So you have Sport 2 actually has 3 lessons about different types of physical activity, moderate and vigorous aerobic, as well as muscle strengthening, 2 lessons on nutrition, and 1 on stress control. So that's the difference with Sport 2. It's a multi-session program, high school, middle school, elementary school version. We also have To the Right in God's Image. It's just a digital download program. It's our least expensive program because we just release it in a download and you can make copies and implement it. It's meant for faith-based settings. It integrates the prevention of substance use with the promotion of healthy behaviors, but also the promotion of spiritual practices. So it's great for faith-based settings. And on the left, our newest program, Racial Justice, PPW. Why racial justice? Why are we discussing that? Because racial discrimination has been shown in research to actually increase risk for substance use among youth. So this is a very unique program because it promotes racial justice behaviors and prevents racial discrimination. So great program, single session, screening brief intervention can be implemented to youth. I don't know if we have this. I think this is just a group session format, but nonetheless scripted. You get a manual, you get a digital download, etc. Our Prevention Plus Wellness programs are implemented, as I mentioned before, all 50 states and abroad. These are just some of the kinds of settings that it is implemented in. Wherever there are youth, wherever there's young adults, you could implement your Prevention Plus Wellness program. Very flexible. Remember, you've got those protocols, those scripts to implement it to youth individually or in a group, protocols to implement it in person or online. You've got your downloads, so you can make as many copies of the youth materials. One session for the most part, very, very, very flexible. You can really have that public health impact and reach all youth. And look at all these different settings: Boys and Girls Club, school, after school, in school, sports, recreation, juvenile justice, wilderness training, camps, again, homes, military, counseling, just about anywhere where there are young people. Now, there are a number of, I think, very unique characteristics of Prevention Plus Wellness programs that set these programs apart from typical evidence-based prevention programs. Now, some of these you might find in other evidence-based programs, but for the most part, they're not found in evidence-based prevention programs. So that's why I want to sort of highlight them for you. So starting on the left-hand side, on the top, we'll go from left to right. PPW programs address both substance use and CDR and other risk behaviors. CDR, chronic disease risk behaviors. So you've got this integration of substance use and other risk behaviors, all addressed usually in a single session with PPW programs. Single session programs permit broad public health reach. There's no reason why you can't, and you certainly give yourself a greater opportunity to have a full public health broad reach with a single session program as compared to, let's say, a program that's 6 sessions or 8 or 10 or 12 or 2 years in length, or et cetera. So very, very, very practical, can really, really reach a lot of people for a public health effect. Evidence-based screening and brief intervention SBI practices model. All PPW programs use that evidence-based practices model. We'll talk about more of that in a minute. PPW programs are based on a positive image and behavior marketing theory. That's why they're very popular among young people, particularly older adolescents, parents, community organizations, funding agencies, et cetera, because of the focus on positive image, positive messaging, positive behaviors, not just limited to risk messaging. PPW programs address multi-behavior goal setting. There are some, in fact, quite a few prevention programs that will have some aspect of goal setting, but not Prevention Plus Wellness goal setting, where the focus is on preventing substance use and promoting protective wellness behaviors. PPW programs promote habits that improve mental and physical health. So it goes beyond just preventing substance use, but promoting those kinds of physical behaviors, those kinds of wellness behaviors, nutrition, sleep, physical activity, stress control that promote physical and mental well-being of youth. What are some other unique characteristics of PPW programs? They come in a scripted format in your manual. So this scripted content, you literally follow it, you read it, and you practice it, and it's very easy. It ends up increasing fidelity, increasing ease of use, reducing time for training as a program implementer and trainer. Our programs are easily tailored to your population and setting. We talk about that in the 2-hour online or on-site program implementer training. And that's a simple enough thing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that today as well, as just making some changes to your PowerPoint slides. So we encourage change or adaptation or tailoring if you believe it's necessary in collaboration with us. So, we support that. Your PBW programs include scripts for individual implementation as well as 2 or more, which means a group. Your programs include, this is another very unique component, built-in immediate pre-post participant surveys. So you're able to assess how your program that you're implementing is doing for your youth. Right then, right there, very focused, very powerful, necessary for tracking, monitoring your program, and promoting your program and improving it over time. Your program includes program manual, digital download, and a bunch of online resources, which I'll highlight for you today. So those are some of the unique characteristics of Prevention Plus Wellness programs. Now let's sort of fill in some of the information that we just highlighted there about these unique components. So as I said earlier, PPW programs address not just substance use, but also CDR, chronic disease risk behavior prevention, as well as prevention of other risks. So if you look to the right, certainly our program, depending on which one you choose, addresses alcohol and other substance use prevention. If you have the vaping program, for example, that addresses e-cigarette prevention. Opioid use, PPW addresses opioid use prevention. Sport and In Shape addresses primarily alcohol, et cetera. Number 2, though, PPW programs address chronic disease risk behavior. So for example, under 2A, obesity, excessive screen time, physical inactivity, sedentary lifestyle, all of that is addressed by the promotion of physical activity and sports in PPW programs. B, environmental influences for sedentary living is addressed particularly in the high school versions of PPW programs. C, unhealthy nutrition is addressed in our programs by focusing on breakfast, eating healthy breakfast, and eating other healthy foods, particularly fruits and vegetables. 2D, lack of sleep is addressed, critical component of physical and mental health. Sleep is addressed by promoting more sleep and better sleep. And E, uncontrolled stress is addressed by practicing relaxation strategies. 3, other substance use risks that are addressed depend on the program. For example, again, our In God's Image program addresses spirituality, religiosity, which is a component and a predictor of substance use. And then 3B, racial discrimination, is addressed in racial justice, PPW. And as I said before, racial discrimination is a risk factor for youth substance use. What is the evidence for the effectiveness of screening and brief interventions, of which all PPW programs are? There was a great review back in 2015, which showed that screening and brief interventions were effective for up to a year with both adolescents and young adults. And that effectiveness was particularly enhanced when screening brief intervention is used in goal setting, which all PPW programs do. Prevention Plus Wellness, screening and brief intervention, some of our own studies have shown that there were effects a year after implementing the single session Prevention Plus Wellness programs. Particularly, we evaluated, as I said before, sport and In Shape. And then lastly, there was a review back in 2016, which stated that brief interventions hold great promise for expanding services to a wide range of youth in diverse settings. In other words, is what I said earlier, brief interventions, screening and brief interventions have great potential for having a true public health impact. In other words, reaching all youth or nearly all youth. In addition, screening and brief interventions are considered evidence-based practices by SAMHSA. SAMHSA has brief interventions as evidence-based. SAMHSA even has their own model for screening and brief intervention called SBIRT, screening, brief intervention, referral to treatment. The CDC supports screening and brief intervention. The World Health Organization supports alcohol screening and brief intervention. The National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism supports alcohol screening brief intervention for youth. The American Academy of Pediatrics supports SBI, and the National Institute of Drug Abuse supports screening and brief interventions. All of these agencies and more support screening and brief intervention as evidence-based practice. Evidence-based practice is, I would say, above individual evidence-based programs. So it's a broader practices label of evidence-based. Now, the evidence-based practices screening and brief intervention model used by Prevention Plus Wellness programs is this one shown here. It's a 3-step process. This is what you'll find all of our programs do, whether it's sport or in shape or vaping PPW, marijuana PPW, racial justice PPW, etc. All of our programs have these 3 steps. Step number 1, you screen participants, whether they're youth or young adults, for their current health habits using a screening survey. And this increases their awareness of their behaviors, not just substance use behaviors, but also wellness behaviors. Secondly, you then provide feedback about each of those behaviors that are targeted in that screening survey, and you provide positive image messages. This cues images of themselves, unconscious images. You show your PowerPoint slides, you follow your script, and this increases youth motivation for change. And then 3, you capitalize on that increase in motivation by walking young people through a screening, through a goal setting to set and to monitor goals to avoid substance use, to increase protective wellness behaviors. This initiates a behavior change process, and to the extent that youth continue it, this increases their self-regulation skills, which are very, very important and lacking among young people, particularly high-risk young people. Let's take a look at the evidence supporting Prevention Plus Wellness screening and brief interventions. So we have 2 evidence-based programs. We've got sport for youth, in shape for young adults. Let's take a look at the published research on sport. This is the alcohol drug PPW program, single session. These are the journals that publish these very well-controlled, randomized controlled trials, baseline data collection, randomization to either receiving the sport program, the single session intervention, or some control or comparison group, follow up 3 months, 4 months, even a year later. And so in a nutshell, here's an overview of the outcomes from these studies that were published. We do know that the sport single session PPW program has significantly decreased alcohol use, different alcohol use measures, initiation, quantity, frequency, heavy use, drinking, alcohol problems, increasing significantly physical activity, reducing cigarette smoking, some effects even a year later, reducing binge drinking, smoking, marijuana use, and increasing physical activity among drug-using youth, even a year later, increasing parent-youth communication. We had one study of just the parent flyers, which are included in the PPW program, sport program. 3 of those 4 flyers we studied, and we found at, I think it was a 4-month follow-up, that those flyers, those parent flyers, help reduce youth alcohol use problems, marijuana use, increase parent-youth communication. And we had one study where the sport program was translated in Turkish language. It was a controlled study conducted in Istanbul as a part of a nursing thesis, and those youth, those Turkish youth that received the sport lesson versus control group were shown to significantly improve indices of physical activity, nutrition, sleep, and mental health. We also collect regularly in our post-test surveys of youth qualitative data, open-ended questions, particularly what did they like best and least, and you get some really, really good insights which help further understand the quantitative data that are collected in the pre-post surveys. And these are some of the kind of things that you could really use to promote your program and improve your program. And here's just some actual comments from youth, and you can see the range of comments. They're very, very, I think, exciting kinds of comments. They make prevention providers feel really good to learn, perhaps for the first time, in your careers exactly how you're impacting the lives of young people by influencing their motivation, improving their healthy habits, reducing their risk, substance use risk habits, having fun, etc. Qualitative feedback data on the sport and other PPW programs. Sport and In Shape are listed on a number of evidence-based registries, NREP, which is now defunct, but also Blueprints for Healthy Youth Development and others. It's just a short list of some of the registries that list sport and In Shape PPW. Now let's talk about the conceptual model. Let's talk about the underlying theory that underpins all prevention plus wellness programs. That is the behavior image model, BIM. BIM is marketing related. The focus is on positive images. That's why I say it's marketing related. And it's designed to integrate the prevention of substance use or other risk behaviors with the promotion of wellness habits. For example, under A, promoting physical activity while preventing alcohol use, or B, promoting racial justice while preventing racial discrimination. Those are just a couple of examples of how the behavior image model helps create these integrated and usually brief programs. Now, there's two key components of the behavior image model. The first, as you can read here, what you do as a teacher, parent, or whoever is implementing this is to communicate positive, aspirational, peer, and social future images. And these are values of youth. They decide for themselves. Is this a value or not? If it is, this increases motivation for them to change diverse health behaviors. And then the second component is you use multiple behavior goal setting to initiate behavior action and then to increase self-control over time. So those are the two components. Let's take a look at them a little bit more depth. Here's a simplified logic model of our prevention plus wellness programs based on the behavior image model. So you start on the top and notice all the arrows are connected as they go down. You as the teacher communicate behavior image messages that integrate wellness with substance use and other risk behaviors. Then that helps cue unconscious positive future and peer or social wellness images in the minds of youth. They already have these. You cue them, that brings them up unconsciously. This increases their awareness of their wellness images that are values for them, that they value, and the risk behaviors as undesirable images. This enhances motivation to set multiple behavior goals. And then lastly, setting and monitoring these goals initiates behavior change and increases self-regulation skills. So that's a simplified behavior image or PPW logic model. How do we know that using images, particularly images, positive images and positive behaviors is fruitful, is effective, is efficacious? Well, there's a number of evidences for that. For example, number one, we know that image has a conceptual basis or conceptual support in behavioral theories such as possible selves theory or Bandura's social cognitive theory. Really, images modeling, whether they're physical or electronic or whatever, images of other people, of peers, really influences our behavior, whether you're a young person or an older person. Secondly, image has a research basis or support in all kinds of fields of research. And some of the ones that we found, support for using images, research studies showing image influences health behaviors in such diverse areas as self-concept, prototype images research on possible selves, and research on positive identity all show a link between images of various types and decisions that young people make about their health habits. Thirdly, we have decades of practical experience of using positive images on changing and shaping purchasing behavior. So you can see on the left there, and to this day, by the way, I would say that some of the world's most effective marketers, advertisers, largest companies, selling beer, selling cigarettes, selling everything from cars to clothing, use positive images. So if you look to the left, there's a a typical image advertisement. You're seeing a lot of healthy, happy, fun, socializing young men and women. Are we having blank yet? So they're referring to fun, they're referring to drinking Bud Light, whatever. And so they're promoting a product, very, very effective. And Prevention Plus Wellness uses these positive images to promote not a product, but a lifestyle, a holistic, healthy lifestyle of avoiding substance use, destructive substance use, and increasing protective wellness behaviors. Lastly, the focus on positive wellness behaviors, anecdotally, according to years of our experience, has been found to be much more acceptable and interesting to youth, particularly older youth, parents, and organizations and funding agencies. So all of these groups, these organizations that sort of like to see these positive behaviors, nutrition, sports, physical activity, stress control, all these things addressed in addition to risk factors for substance use. So broader, more holistic, more positive messages, very much appreciated. And you'll find that young people and parents and others more likely to participate and fund your program because of that. Now, let me show you this two-step process, because if you use any of our programs, any Prevention Plus Wellness program, you'll see this two-step messaging where you integrate multiple behaviors using images. This is designed to increase motivation. So the goal of this two-step messaging process is to trigger this mental picture of a healthy behavior and how substance use is counterproductive or harmful. Two components to that messaging: A, vivid image terms and other benefits; two, representative illustrations or models. Look at the models on the right of young, healthy, happy, thumbs up or pointing in your face kind of images of young people. We want young people to see images of themselves, that is gender-wise, ethnicity, healthy activities, etc. So here's the two-step messaging process. Here's step one. I'm going to show you an example. You identify positive images and other benefits of a health-enhancing behavior. Here's the message in quotes, quote, young people who engage in regular physical activity, there's a target behavior, tend to feel energetic, sleep better, and look more active, fit, and confident. So those are you've got the target there, you got the target behavior, regular physical activity, you've got who's getting the message, young people. You've got the image terms underlined, very, very positive image terms, very powerful. They evoke unconscious images. Oh, I relate to and I value this idea of being energetic, active, fit, confident. Who doesn't want to be those? Very, very much universal images, desired images, and other benefits like sleep better. And then on the right, you've got an illustration of a young female that's participating in some aerobic exercise. So you want to show lots of images, different types of activities, and different images that people can look at. Young people say, oh, that represents me, or I could relate to that image. The second part of that messaging is that you identify how a health risk behavior or behaviors interferes with that wellness behavior and benefits. So here it is, quote, marijuana use, there's the target substance use behavior, risk behavior. Marijuana use can reduce your energy level needed to participate in regular exercise and achieve your fitness goals of being in shape, looking good, and feeling fit and active. So that's how you do it. You just link how, in this case, marijuana use interferes with those positive images, positive behaviors as values. That's the two-step messaging process. That increases motivation. That's part of the behavior image model. The other part of the behavior image model is the goal setting to initiate action and increase self-control. Here are the components of goal setting / contracts that we provide in Prevention Plus Wellness programs. Number one, good idea to provide recommendations for wellness, not just to avoid substance use, but increase these other healthy behaviors that are addressed in your programs: physical activity, sports, healthy breakfast and nutrition, plenty of sleep, and controlling stress. Secondly, pledge to avoid alcohol and drug use, or vaping, e-cigarettes, or cannabis use, or opioid use, or whatever the target behavior. Risk behavior. Thirdly, to set a concrete wellness goal or goals to increase, stating them in a measurable way, getting co-signatures, which increase motivation for change, making them a contract, and then congratulations and providing directions, and then some support to continue that goal-setting process for your participating youth. Now, PPW programs address these common substance use risks. Most of you are aware of this. This is the latest youth risk behavior data dated 2019, with the exception of the alcohol, every use alcohol measure, which is not included. I guess, my only guess would be probably because it's such a normative behavior. You've got from 2017, we know that over 6 in 10 youth have ever tried alcohol, a tremendous increase from 2017 to 2019. Over half of youth have ever tried vaping e-cigarettes. Over a third have used marijuana, and so forth. So those are the big three: alcohol, e-cigarettes, marijuana. That's followed by others, including cigarettes, opioids, etc. At the same time that youth are experiencing or exposed to these risks, they're also exposed to chronic disease risks that will lead to chronic diseases like stroke, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, etc. Here again, youth risk behavior survey data, the latest 2019, with the exception of sleep. For some reason, the 2019 data doesn't include sleep, so we had to use the 2017 data. But if you look at that on the top of the scale, this percentage of behaviors, you've got 3 out of 4 youth are not getting 8 or more hours of sleep each day of the week. 2 out of 3 are drinking soda on a weekly basis. And look at this, over 40% are only having 1 fruit and vegetable a day. They need to have 5, 7. I mean, really lacking in fruit and vegetable consumption. That is high school adolescents throughout the nation. Only a third ate breakfast every day of the week. Less than a quarter get that recommended 1 hour physical activity every day of the week. And we're almost a half, 46.1%, are getting 3 or more hours of video games beyond the required study time. And of course, they're getting a large percentage are also getting 3 or more hours on television. So lots and lots of screen time, not a good thing for young people. Now, related to this, there was a great national longitudinal study published in 2016, which showed that multiple health risk behaviors are common among American adolescents, with less than 2.4% of US adolescents meeting all health behavior guidelines, and over 10% of youth having 5 or more risk behaviors by age 16. This study also found that not eating fruits and vegetables or breakfast, being overweight or obese, physical inactivity, and smoking predicted other health risk behaviors. So you could see the interrelation of the behaviors. These researchers said prevention targeting multiple risk behaviors is needed because it exists, because young people are exposed to multiple risks individually and in groups. We also know that there are many benefits of a healthy lifestyle being one in which you're physically active, eat mostly nutritious food, get plenty of sleep. Research shows that a healthy lifestyle is associated with less depression and anxiety. So you got this association with physical health and mental health. Healthy lifestyles associated with less unsafe sex and less alcohol, tobacco, and illicit drug use, for those of you that are substance use prevention specialists. And then you can see all these other benefits. Healthy lifestyles associated with improved physical and mental health, self-reported quality of life, more positive self-image, self-esteem, regulation, self-confidence, etc., greater brain development, cognitive functioning, more fun and friends and socializing, greater academic success. Yes, healthy lifestyles associated with greater academic success. Even if we measured it from being associated with less suspensions, greater attendance in school, less dropouts, and more likelihood to attend and complete college. And of course, healthy lifestyles associated with less chronic disease, like under number 7, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, stroke, etc. How effective are multiple risk behavior interventions, multiple risk behavior programs that target more than one risk factor at a time. Well, this was a review of intervention studies published a couple years ago, and it showed that one-time as well as one-time multi-health consultations, as well as group sessions, decreased adolescent substance use. And the author said school-based interventions targeting multiple health risk behaviors can be effective and an efficient way to decrease youth substance use. So there's quite a bit of evidence supporting interventions that address multiple risk behaviors. That's why we created this Prevention Plus Wellness integrative, interconnected model for promoting youth wellness. How does it work? Well, if you look on the left-hand side, SUP is substance use prevention, and below it, if you add substance use prevention to healthy behavior promotion, that's what we're talking about. These integrative interventions like Prevention Plus Wellness, you add substance use prevention with healthy behavior promotion, and those two intervention components together are more likely to improve mental and physical health. And when mental and physical health are improved, that supports substance use prevention and healthy behavior promotion. So it's a reciprocal model where, again, these integrated interventions, integrating substance use prevention, healthy behavior promotion, together will increase mental and physical health, and that supports, again, prevention and wellness promotion. PPW programs are scripted. As I said, you get a manual with the literally script in it. You read it, you practice it, and then you could implement it. You hold your manual. You could read the manual. If you practice it, it'll almost become second nature, so you could just glance at it and follow it. And the advantage of a scripted intervention is it makes it easier to use, lessens training time. It increases the fidelity and reliability. It doesn't matter if I implement sport or you, or we do today or next year, 5 years from now, if we have our script and follow it, it's the same program. And it allows less skilled providers to implement our programs as well, like youth leaders. So you don't need to have a master's in any particular thing, skills, because you have a script. You have to have, now the cons are that you have to have the script in your hand, you have to, and you have to practice it so it feels and becomes second nature to you. I had mentioned that we provide and support tailoring of your program content and images if you believe it's necessary or would improve your program. We encourage it if needed, and the easiest thing to do, and we cover this again in more in depth, and we will work with you on this, is during our 2-hour online or on-site program implementer training. You can, under the second box there to the right, PowerPoint images can be replaced. So one example is that Montana Youth switched out some of the images that we had in one of our programs. I can't remember which one. Took out organized sports and put in recreational images because youth in Montana in that region were more likely to do things like hiking and skiing and fishing than they were to play organized football, for example. So that was a great example of a tailoring, customizing, which I think could certainly improve because you want youth to see themselves, representation. Slide content can be expanded. A couple of examples here. U.S. Air Force addressed high caffeinated drinks because that was an issue on some of their bases, and another provider implemented a slide on SMART goals to help use a SMART goal as a format to help young people set their Prevention Plus Wellness multi-behavior goals. Slides and other materials can be co-branded as well. You can use your logo, use your colors. And the only thing we ask is if you do any tailoring of your PowerPoint slides or any of your materials, you send them to us first for a review so we can give you feedback, we can learn from you. And if we learn something, we will share that on our website and social media. The scripts for providing Your program, you have a script to provide your programs to youth or young adults individually, one-on-one, as well as in groups. This allows flexibility, improves the feasibility of providing your program in just about any setting. Both scripts use the same slide, so it's easy to switch from a one-on-one script to a group script. Now, the individual script, if you implement your program to one youth or one adult, this is likely to be a more effective program based on research that shows this kind of tailoring increases a program effectiveness. And so when you implement your program to individual youth, that's when it's the most customized, because you're actually providing feedback on how they answered each of those screening survey questions. On the other hand, the group script is likely to increase efficiency, because you're able to implement your program to more than one person at a time. So you have that option, individual or group implementation. Both scripts can be used and are being used across the nation and abroad as universal, but also as selective and indicated prevention programs. So in other words, they're being used for all youth populations as a universal prevention intervention, but also high-risk youth, such as maybe to individual youth that have been screened in a setting for having tried alcohol or e-cigarettes or what have you. PPW programs have built-in pre-post evaluation surveys. This includes scannable as well as optional online pre-test and post-test. This allows you as a teacher, as a provider, to maybe for the first time in your career, to conduct an immediate focused evaluation of your program. It includes 2 measures that are highly predictive of multiple health behaviors. It also includes 2 qualitative or open-ended items to help inform you and help you have a better understanding of your quantitative data. And this provides you as a provider, as a teacher, with data to both promote your program to other youth, family members, community, funding agencies, and to improve your program over time. And we do provide a free initial analysis, if you would like it, of your data. Your program manual and digital downloads, what do they include? Number 1, your manuals include step-by-step instructions, scripts for implementing your program individually in a group, evaluation tools, not just the pre-post survey, but an instructor survey and a fidelity checklist and others. Parent flyers are included in the sport program. What does your downloads include? Under number 2, your PowerPoint slides and anything that you need to make copies of your reproducible materials. We also have on our website a whole bunch of online resources to support your program, to improve your program, to enhance your program, to sustain your program. Here's a list of them. If you use any Prevention Plus Wellness program, during the online training, we'll walk you through these and show you these, but you can explore these yourself on our website, preventionpluswellness.com. By the way, if you want to learn more and get regular weekly email blasts on our free webinars and resources, just go to our website, preventionpluswellness.com, and drop in your email address. More recently, we've created a number of program adaptations, which have increased the flexibility and practicality of our programs for youth in person and online, including remote online program implementation protocols, updated program slides, which increase interaction and ease of use, online youth surveys, and youth online PPW program follow-up goal plan to extend and sustain your program. In terms of our updated PPW slides, there's 3 components here. Number 1, there's new built-in discussion questions. Now, there's 2 components to those, or 2 reasons for that. 1, it increases program participation, which is really important when you implement your program in a group, whether in person or online. And secondly, it enhances participation reflection of their personal health behavior. Secondly, screening surveys and goal plan slides are included now, and that allows you to provide your programs online. And then thirdly, slide notes that we've just added helps increase the ease and fidelity of your program implementation. The online pre-post test comes actually in a customized link. We could send your organization a link so that your pre and post test, if you use that, will have your title on it, and so just your youth will complete it, so your data will be separate from everybody else's in the country and world. This customized link permits participants pre-post test data to be just kept for you. Includes 2 measures, indicators and predictors of substance use and healthy behaviors. Behavioral intention is 1 measure, which is the most highly predictive indicator of future behaviors, and perceived harmfulness or susceptibility or risk, very, very popular and common and needed understanding, because as perceived harmfulness increases, use decreases and vice versa. And these pre-post test measures include 5 substance use behaviors and 4 wellness habits. The Youth Online PPW Program Follow-Up Goal Plan, which we just created, allows you as a teacher to do 2 things. Prevention and health providers can now extend and monitor your youth goal setting beyond the single session PPW program, and it gives youth additional opportunities to develop self-regulation skills, setting, monitoring, and achieving goals leading to improved mental and physical health. And we will send you a customized link to this follow-up goal plan if you use any of our Prevention Plus Wellness programs. We have a number of training opportunities for you. We have weekly free webinars. Just sign up on our website, put your email address in, and you'll be receive email blasts so that you'll be able to register for any of those. 2-hour online program implementer training, 2-hour online training of trainer, 1-hour youth leadership training and implementing any of our programs. And we also provide in-person on-site training. During COVID, of course, we're not doing what we used to do where we train and provide, go to you and provide a training at your site. But what we're doing now is we're training other providers like yourselves to be trainers, and then you could host that training if you want to have the in-person training. A number of free webinars topics are listed here. We're always updating that, changing that, creating that, expanding that. And these are free webinars, where we 1 hour in length, and we give a 1-hour CEU credit for that. In conclusion, 3 really important things to be reminded of or to remember. Number 1, Prevention Plus Wellness programs include evidence-based and evidence-informed single session programs which address youth and young adult alcohol, tobacco, e-cigarettes, marijuana, opioid use, and other risk factors while promoting wellness behaviors and lifestyles. Secondly, PPW programs have multiple unique characteristics, including their screening and brief intervention format, their multiple behavior and positive image focus, their scripted content, and others, which makes them particularly efficacious and easy to implement broadly. And thirdly, recent PPW adaptations have increased the flexibility and feasibility of using your PPW programs in person and online. Here is our beautiful brand new Prevention Plus Wellness website. Go to it, enjoy it. We think you'll find it much more entertaining, user friendly, and an enjoyable experience, and practical, I hope, than our past website. This is preventionpluswellness.com. So check it out and let us know what you think, and lots of good stuff, including free resources on our website. That's preventionpluswellness.com. Our phone number here in St. Augustine, 904-472-5022, or you can email us at info@preventionpluswellness.com. That's it. I'm going to stop. We have just a couple minutes, so I might be able to take a couple of questions at this point in time. So let me stop the sharing. And I'm also going to stop the recording at this time, if you just give me a moment for that. And then I'll see if anyone has any questions that they've written into the Q&A or the chat option, and I'll take those questions from you. Well, I'm not able to stop the, oh, here we go. There it is, there it is, there it is, okay.